Every film is a collaboration, and Evil Dead, the first one, was incredibly physically hard and demanding. So we shot on the most primitive of systems. We improvised everything. But it was a great experience, kind of in hindsight, with Sam, Bruce, and I. We had been lifelong friends as a result of it. The original Evil Dead was quite polarizing. So there was the young people who came to see it, hadn't really seen anything like it, and they loved it, and so it was a high watermark for them. The traditional film community thought it was kind of repulsive. They went, oh, these guys are sick. And I remember a headline to a review in the Christian Science Monitor, exactly the kind of movies we do not need. So, so it was polarizing. And I guess we have to hope that this movie does the same thing, because we want to make a movie, and we're going to deliver a movie that really hits the audience hard. One of the keys to getting Evil Dead remade was to get the three partners, Sam, Bruce, and myself, to all go, yes, we want to do it. Sam was the biggest proponent of it, and Bruce was the one who really didn't want to see it get remade.
We got a lot of pressure for another Evil Dead movie, period. That we finally went, okay, what's the reality of us actually making another Evil Dead movie? And it wasn't that high.
Sam always thought, well, it's a great vehicle for a young filmmaker to tackle and say, hey, that other movie's crap, I can do a much better job than that, just give me a camera and some money. And Bruce, on the other hand, went, well, the fans will hate it, and it was really running into Fede and having a different take on how to remake it that made it all kosher with Bruce.
Fede Alvarez met Sam Raimi in a series of meetings that he was having because he went crazy on the internet, and a little short he did called Panic Attack went viral. But this guy, out of nowhere, through his cleverness, made this little special effects heavy short of robots attacking a city. And it's only, I don't know, a couple of minutes, 4 or 5 minutes. And the effects are really inventive. They look like they're top notch. And it was just something he did on weekends. And it went crazy and blew up. And so Sam was actually talking about developing that into a feature film. But then that got bogged down in classic Hollywood fashion into development hell. And Fede pitched the concept of an Evil Dead because he was a fan.
Where we were committed to one idea that is basically make sure that we take everything that is necessary, that is timeless about the original, and everything that has expired. And I guess it's all what we decide to keep is, of course, the origins of the horror, but basically all the whole idea of that you go with your best friends to a place that's supposed to be a nice place, a good place to spend time with them, and they all turn against you, and they try to kill you, and you don't want to kill them because they're your friends, and you hope that this is not happening and there's a way out. That, for me, is a very, very scary feeling.
And it didn't have an Ash character, and that was kind of the release that freed up Bruce to go, oh yeah, I'd really like to make it. I can now see it. If it doesn't have Ash, I'm not casting somebody to redo what I had once done.
Yes, the reason why there's no Ash is because we wanted to, Ash is such an iconic character, we didn't want to mess with that. We wanted to build something out of the blue, something real new, with new characters, and leave that Ash character, which I think it can only be played by Bruce Campbell. So I think it was a smart choice to leave Ash where it is.
That was a big issue with a lot of fans of, well, if Ash isn't in it, then it's not an Evil Dead movie. It's like, yeah, it is. It's just it's a different generation.
So there was quite an uproar. People didn't want to see it remade. Why touch it? Why do this? And but this isn't just a simple remake, it's also a reimagining.
I read something online today. There was a message to you.
Well, yeah.
And it said, I'm sure you probably read it, it said, good luck on the Evil Dead remake. You fuck it up, your career will be forever tarnished. Now, how do you
That's good to
react
know.
that pressure?
Well, I don't know, for me it's no pressure related to that. I think the biggest pressure is trying to make the best movie ever. It would happen with any movie, I guess. It's not just the fact that we're remaking a horror classic.
It's just a new generation Evil Dead. That's all it really is. And we don't want the same anything. I don't want some guy trying to imitate my overacting performance. You know, why bother? Leave the guy alone. So all the other actors now in this movie get to create their own thing. And Jane Levy, by the end of this, she's taking this movie, you know, by the shoulders and she's screaming at it in the face. She's taking this movie over. So if people want to call her the new Ash, I say do it. She's earned it. She did a great job. Not just a good job, she did a great job.
I was so freaked out in that audition. I was so nervous. I really wanted the part. But Bruce was the one who, like, immediately after our very first audition was like, do you know what it feels like to get buried alive? Do you know what it feels like to have a tube down your throat? Do you know what it feels like after the 16th hour of work and you're covered in blood? Do you really want to do this? What's your stamina? Have you ever played sports? And I was like, yes, I want to do it. It sounds so good. It sounds so good. Cool, cool, cool.
She was so feisty at first, and I told Fede afterwards, I said, she's going to be great in the part, but you're going to have your hands full a few times. And as each of the actors and actresses came down here, I brought them into my office and said, look, I want to explain something to you. This is going to be the hardest thing you've ever done. You're going to reach a time where you're going to want to rip all this makeup off your face and claw the contacts out of your eyes and just go in your camper and cry. And I said, don't rip your makeup off, but you can go in your camper and cry.
I sent an email to all the actors that we finally cast to like, look, here's what's going to be coming your way. You won't make a movie like this probably for the rest of your career. You're gonna go back and work on other movies after this, and you're gonna go, oh, this is nothing.
It's a grueling shoot. There's a lot of challenging gags, a lot of nights out in the cold and the rain and covered in blood. They all have the right energy. I think the spirit of, we're gonna do something outrageous and cool and to try to give the audience something that they don't expect. And it's a great challenge when you're remaking a classic film to try to breathe a new life into it, and I think that's exactly what this cast does.
I just remember, I think that was the scariest part for me when I watched the original was Shelley, I believe, with her white eyes and her like curly doll hair, singing "We're Gonna Get You." I thought was so creepy, and I wanted to put a little bit of that into our movie.
And action.
We're gonna get you.
There were certain iconic images from Evil Dead and signatures that we felt was something that is iconic and a story element that we need to keep alive. So for the fans and for the story, it was the right thing to do. So there are things that, if you were a fan of the first one, are going to be in this and are going to be tributes or nods to.
That's the one thing we can bring as producers to the table. We have 30 years of horror movie experience. We know what you want. We know what makes you bored, because it bores us too. So we tried to give you a movie that would scare us and disturb us. And I remember all three of us, when we first saw Fede's early cut, a cut that he would hate to even show us, we were like, oh, we're good. We were so relieved. We're like, he did it.
This is balls to the wall horror. It's like there's nothing, they're not gonna get anything that is watered down or like trying to not to make it to this or to that. Like we, on the set every day, there's something you hear all the time, people saying like, is that too much blood? Is that too much this? And every time it's like, is that too much? Everybody, somebody's gonna say that. Somebody's gonna say that in the back. Like on our movie on Evil Dead, nothing is too much. So we're really going for it, and that's what they can expect. I mean, and also it's something very unpredictable. They're not gonna see it coming. It's really something that once it starts, it's non-stop.
On this movie, it was very important for me that to be sure that we're faithful to the truth.
and what people would do in those kind of situations. And it's because it's a supernatural and weird situation to imagine. What if I do if I wasn't there? What would I do if? But so that's why that was first day one was sitting down with them and going through the story several times and trying to agree with them. Okay, we agree that this makes sense, right? And they were all, yes, good, this makes sense. This doesn't make sense. So let's change it. And we tweak everything we need to tweak back then with them, just to make sure that they agree with their characters and the way they behave.
Hold on, baby, hold on, please. Eric and I were gonna put a stop to this, okay? And then we can all go home.
No. David, you're just being a coward. You know exactly what we have to do, but you're just
And
too
then, of
scared.
course, we rehearsed the trickiest scenes and a lot of drama and the opening of the movie, and the characters are going through very particular stories, so we rehearsed all those scenes. And then, of course, it was, then you do whatever you have to do as a director to get them to the right place. Some days we didn't have to discuss too much about it. And sometimes we didn't want to, or they didn't want to, or I didn't want to. You know, like sometimes it was about, okay, show me what you got. You know, like, and sometimes it's better. You know, like sometimes the actors bring a vision.
The thing I liked about Fede is he created this environment on set that was, no matter what we talked about before, let's try whatever you feel like right now. And that was sort of different for me, and I just listened to him, and I think through that, we found a lot of stuff in the moment. It couldn't be too contrived. I think that being scary and being funny is sort of the same thing to me. Like, I work on a comedy, and you can't really try to be funny, and you can't really try to be scary. It doesn't really work like that. What else?
I think that's it.
Betty wrote this story, so he knows the story extremely well. And from all the rehearsal we had, like, I feel like, and how much I worked on it and how many times I read it, I feel like the story was really in me and these characters were really in me. But when we got to set, there was a lot of freedom. And we got to try all sorts of different things. Ching! Ching!
You could put the snum there first and then it's great when it's an organic process and it's not something that you just go and shoot the script, like the process of making it and change it and make it more organic and collectively trying to create something that is way better than the script. I think it's something that I'd love to do.
As an actor, that's so cool because you can discuss stuff with him and you can change stuff if it comes up, if you both think it's right. And if you're kind of a little lost and confused, he knows it inside out and he can give you all that stuff that you need to bring it into the film for your character.
Part of it is in the director, I guess, but a lot of it is in the actor. You know, some actors they really want to give 200% at every shot, and they're ready to go. You don't have to ask them to do it; they will do it anyways. But and also sometimes, I mean, for me, being out here is the way to get the best out of them because they don't have to fake it so much. I mean, when they acting tired, it's because they're tired. When they acting scared, they're actually pretty scared sometimes.
I have to go get in that shower. Yeah.
Actually, we had one day when Shiloh had to do the scene that he was by himself in the woods, and I took him out of the set and I took him back to the woods back there when everything is dark, and I asked him to stay there for 10 minutes before doing the take. So I leave him there and I tell him about how the culture around here say that this woods is kind of, you know, has some, because there've been a lot of real blood spilled in these woods. So it can be very scary if you want. So I left him there for 10 minutes, and when he came back, he gave it an amazing shot because, I mean, fear was in his heart for real. He didn't really enjoy being alone in the darkness of this forest. So sometimes we do those kind of things just to remind them of where they are and how scary it would be to be out here by yourself, right? Ironically, I would say my favorite scene is when Mia is being buried alive. But I didn't want Shiloh to be faking that and Shiloh to be talking to an empty floor. So I talked with Jane and she agreed to do it. And so during all that scene when David is finally apologizing to his sister for his bad deeds, although you don't see her, but Jane is actually on the ground, covered completely in a box. Shiloh knows that he has to finish his moment and get her out, just as the character does, knowing that his fellow actress was there and he had to do it. So I think that really translated into the scene. So that's why I really wanted to have her there. Everybody was scared to death around her. I was trying to convince everybody that, well, she was going to die.
Get Jane out, please.
Can I come out?
Yep.
There's a lot of like old school movie tricks that Fede uses, and I love it.
When you go back, you'll
Yesterday we were doing this scene when I first come in with a shotgun. I actually shooting a gun. The windows actually burst. There's lightning. There's wind, and like it's so cool.
You always juggling with your resources. You always know that you're not going to have everything you need all the time, so you find a way to do it in a different way. And sometimes it's the fun of doing it that way. You know, like I remember we're doing this scene where somebody gets an arm blown off, right? And we had all this tricky system of devices of explosion on the arm and all that, and we give it a go, and it didn't really work. And we end up like the AD and myself just grabbing the arm and throwing it against the wall and having a splash, and then we got a great scene and a great moment. I think that's also kind of the spirit of what everybody that went to a film school and heard anything about Evil Dead is always what you learn is that, and what you heard about the movie is that it's all about like creative solutions to the problems and trying to find ways to make things look scary and gory, and they look weird behind the scene, but then in camera they look amazing, and that's what it matters.
I think what how Evil Mia looks is so awesome, and it's just like immediately iconic to me. Like, I don't know why, I've never seen it before. Like this girl in a slip with all the thorn cuts and like the burns. It looks, I mean, it's scary as hell, but it's sort of amazing. So that took forever. It was like a long process, like so many steps and layers and layers and layers. Good morning. I'm in the van. I'm in our VW minivan on the way to work. Today I'm gonna take you through the steps of becoming Mia on The Evil Dead. Smell. Is this for me ripping my hand off today? Oh, is it new? Ugh, look at all these pieces of like sashimi. Sashimi arm. Here I am in makeup with Claire, makeup artist extraordinaire. She's the one who makes me look beautiful. She makes me feel really good about myself. I come into the trailer feeling ugly, and then I leave looking like this, and I feel beautiful, you know? So an important step in becoming Blood Mia, Blood Rain Mia, is my abomination burns. So this is gonna be one of the handprints, which essentially goes on like a temporary tattoo. I mean, it's pretty gross. It's definitely a burn. But I sort of think of it as like a pizza burn. Ta-da! Ta-da, ta-da-da. It's pretty nasty. And in a little bit, Claire will put in some 3rd degree, which makes it shiny, and some pus. Yeah, that's a pretty girl. This is why everyone dreams of being an actress. I love these pics. Crybaby, crying blood tears. So maybe I'll tell you some more stories. Up here, we have a picture, and that was the swimming through the swamp day. That was at the point when I thought this movie was fun. Just kidding. Just kidding. Kind of. What do we have here? grime dirt. Blend mouth blood. Those are all the other different kinds of blood we have. Blood, 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 blood. Blood, 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 blood. This is the makeup I'm getting in today. This is probably the most difficult process. I mean, like, Evil Me is a longer process, but the blood, getting it just right, it's like, I come in here and get the first layer. Then I go into the hot tin on set and I get the next layer. Then, when they call for final checks, we do more blood. Then I pour blood over my head, and then we do more blood. Right? Okay. Matt tells me it's time to go to set. Here is, I think this is Lou's face, right? Maybe. Here's some like juicy body parts. That's Jess, playing Olivia. Oh, this is me. Oh, it's heavy. That's me. Yeah, that was fun to make. Eric, that's Lou Taylor Pucci's face. I think that's Lou Taylor Pucci's chest. No idea who this is. Who are you? No idea. Oh, well, good to go. Gotta go. Who's this green person? Okay, there's a couple faces that I don't know who they are. And now we are going to set. Can I hand it to you?
Okay, stand by to shoot. Nice and quiet, thank you. Camera to 1. Here we go. Sorry.
That's okay.
I am.
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. And action! One more. Action!
Stay longer on the first leg.
Okay.
Sit.
And action! Got it?
You just missed my temper tantrum. Thank God. I just hate the blood rain. I become yeah, a child. But it's okay, I'm not gonna die. See you later.
I think that he's always ready to go. He's a sport, and there's nothing that he's gonna say like no. He's gonna ask for more in every take. Like, and it doesn't matter what happens to the characters. He's really ready to take it, and to do another take, and really keep going for it.
Tail slide. Tail sliding.
Tommy.
Come on.
I'm trying things. I'm trying things out in this movie, and there's a lot of space, and there's a lot of like, it's a really safe movie to be able to try things. I think I'm a recovering drug addict, and I'm becoming possessed. I don't think anything's too crazy, so why not really go there? You know, some takes I'll be as crazy as I possibly can, and Fede will say, well, let's bring it back.
And for this one, Jane, instead of don't scream at them over your shoulder, just like on action, you just turn around completely so we can see your wounds and all the cuts and all the scratches that are on your body.
You might as well just, this is the space to give everything you have. So I've been trying to do that, and it's exhausting.
Tail slide. Fucking scary. Stay there, Jane. Stay where you are.
We have a shot that, of course, is not the whole thing in the movie because the movie will be 3 hours long. But we had a day of just Jane going bananas in the cellar, and we just put the camera there, zooming in on her as she goes crazy, and she tried different things and different things that the demon is going. It's just like we have a sneak peek of what's going on in the cellar with Mia. I think the shot is probably 5 minutes long, and she doesn't stop until the end. Probably in the minute 5, she goes like, "Please, can we cut?" And that's the beauty of working with her on this movie, right? Like really, that was a real pleasure working with her, because she will always have ideas, and she will never run out of ideas, like to put something new in the character, to do it in a different way. Usually she was very worried about not doing anything cliche. She didn't want to do anything cliche, so every time, if the obvious choice was this one, she would do everything she could to go the other direction, right? And I think you can really see that in the movie.
Shower time. Life at work consists of many showers. This is what it looks like after I shower. Sort of like murder scene, you know? Yeah, that's me. Time to say goodbye. Thanks for coming with me today. Ciao.
It's not a comfortable movie to do, but I think making movies is about being comfortable. It's about something different, and you don't make movies. I mean, the movie has a beginning, it has an end when you do it. So whatever it is, it's not gonna be forever. Like they say, the pain is temporary. Movies are forever. And I think all the actors had that in mind pretty clearly in the beginning. It's very hard to be in their places and understand how it is, to be an actor and being, subject to that every day, and the violence, and also for them, I think the psychological violence of the story also got to them, and they were pretty, affected by it at some point.
Down, boom, it's right there.
It's been really hard to go there every day, actually. It's like, again, like trying not to be an indulgent actor and go home and cry because my day was, but like it's, you feel crazy. I feel nuts, sort of, and but it's also like a new territory for me as an actress, and I think I'm learning so much about my limits and about my ability and about my health and how to keep sane while doing this job. And it's like high intensity all the time, and it's exhausting.
Action.
The scenes in the woods, there was some really awesome camera stuff going on. Like, I think my favorite shot so far that I've ever done is having the cameraman flying through the trees on the zip line and me laying in the mud and running. Like, if I didn't do it right, a camera would hit me, but at the same time, I wanted I wanted to give you that fear, and I did. The producer, I guess when we were doing that shot, like the last one, I was like, I'm gonna stay as close as I can to the camera, and I took a little bit longer to get around the tree. And Sally, our producer, I walked back to Video Village, and she was like, "You bad girl." Yeah, I've had moments of, like, one of those scenes I was crying and I was freezing, and someone had just put on muddy underwear and rubbed mud in between my legs and down my legs and in my arms and in my hair, and dip your hands in mud and pour blood in, and I was miserable and I was crying and I was running down the hill, and they were like, "Jane, you're not hitting your mark." And I think I shouldn't even tell this story. I looked at the cameraman and I was like, "I fucking can't see anything." And then I like ran into a bush and cried some more, and then I went up to him and I said, "I'm so sorry." But I couldn't see anything. But again, it's like, it works. Mia wouldn't be able to see anything.
All right. Thank you.
It's very scary and it's very creepy sometimes for the actor, but at the same time, you get moments where it's, all of them, they cannot wait to get to those scenes. Like all the actors there, they're like, "Can we go again? Can we do it?" And all that. It's just so crazy and outrageous, and for them, it's such a particular experience. You don't get vomit in your face every day. So it's something that I guess they're all looking forward to experience when they get to set.
Claudia was my least favorite thing I've done in my life, I think. I hated doing that. After I did it, I walked off and I just felt like I was going to hell for real because I had done something so horrible. Scariest thing in the world. Are you okay?
So how you felt?
I don't know. I survived. Barely. Yeah, in every way, each scene has had its, it's difficult in its own way. Maybe it's like a really emotionally challenging scene and it makes me feel pretty sad afterwards, or it's a physically exhausting scene, or it's going through makeup for 5 hours, or it's having your hair be stuck with fake blood, or in no way am I complaining. I'm just the facts straight up. So like this is like been really hard. It's been grueling.
And it's definitely, it's definitely tough. For many reasons, like shooting all night and all that. But it's also the physicalities of the role are pretty intense, and she has to do a lot of things, and she's always glad to do it. So she's a trooper on that, that side. She's really ready to go and giving the best. So she's been a trooper so far, and she's doing great. But it's a really tough role, particularly out here in the elements for real.
The glamorous life.
Here we go.
Fede took me aside and said, Jane, are you, really, he looked me in the eyes and he said, are you ready for the next 7 days? It's gonna be really, 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 really tough. He was like, I need to make sure you're sleeping right now. Are you sleeping? Do you need a mask? Earplugs are really good. If you have to, take a pill because you need to sleep. And I was like, geez, Fede, you're scaring me.
Yeah, again, we want everything to be real, and for that final big climax scene of when it seems like they're gonna win, hell sends everything it has, and it sends this creature, and that's when the big climax starts and start raining blood. So you really had this huge, massive rig and pumping blood all over the set for that big scene.
Okay, here we go, and action!
Sorry, can you give me a 3, 2, 1?
Sure thing. Here we go. Sit, Jane. And 3, 2, 1, action!
It was the middle of the night and it was so cold and it was so intense to be going through that, all night long, being soaking wet in the blood rain, and that a take would end and I couldn't remember it. I don't know exactly what that means. Or I watched playback of one of the shots and it was 20 seconds longer than I remember it being. Either I was extremely present or I wasn't present at all. I don't know. I've had enough of this. Stop.
And the amount of blood spent there was really, really, really tricky. And it really pays off because at the end, it's just epic.
And cut!
But I think that this job tested my limits in lots of ways, personally and as an actress. I don't want to sound somber because I think I will be very proud of the work that we do at the end of this, but it's been tough. This has been tough.
Bruce Campbell sent an email to everybody on the first day of shooting, and what I remember about the email was that he was saying movies that are easy to make are hard to watch, and I guess he's right about that, and this one was definitely not easy to make for anybody.
The Book of the Dead was the germ, the seed from which Evil Dead exploded. So when we made the first movie, it was originally entitled Book of the Dead. It was called Book of the Dead because Sam was in ancient history class and heard about the Book of the Dead, and that name stuck with him, and he said, oh, what if somebody finds it and it possesses him? So it was the key that unlocked the whole writing process for him to write the first movie, Evil Dead.
Having the book in the story was something that was very important to Sam, Rob, and Bruce, and Fede also agreed. The idea that this is an ancient book that was created that gives birth to the demonic force, but it also explains how you can expel that force. There's also another important fact that is given in this book, which is that when the evil force feasts upon 5 souls, a new greater thing will rise. It will rise from the dead. And so it's kind of a working document that over the years people have expanded upon, writing in notes, warning people to not say the words, to not give birth to this terrible entity.
Yeah, you look in there and it's got strange drawings, but then it has different layers of people who've reacted to it. There's modern day writing, the lingo's more modern, of people who've dealt with it. So this book has been through a bunch of different hands, and why is it bound up in the basement of this particular cabin in this particular woods at this time? Why did they find it? Where did it come from?
Look. Shit, man. What the fuck happened here?
And I think the origin of it is always going to be a little mysterious. It's a book, it's bound in human flesh, it's inked in human blood. The way we're looking at it is this thing appears at different places at different times. So I think the 2 Evil Dead movies can actually exist in a parallel universe. That book is just making the rounds.
And to Eric, who's a high school teacher, I think that that's the coolest find that you could see. But obviously, it's not a normal book.
Kunda.
Once he says those words, everything starts going wrong.
Estrada. Montose. Kunda.
Like, did I make all this happen? Because I'm not hallucinating. She just shot her brother. And the windows exploded and all this happened. So there has to be something going on.
You are all going to die tonight.
One of the most important ideas is, how do you end the demon? How do you put the demon to rest? And it's very specific in the book. It talks about 3 ways in which that can happen.
A live burial. Bodily dismemberment. And purification by fire.
To me, in a horror movie, you got to have the rules clear. What unleashes the monsters and what gets rid of them. And this movie's pretty clear what the different ways you can get rid of a demon, someone who's possessed, and none of them are good. And note to kids, you find a book in a cabin in the woods, just turn around and just drive out. Just drive away. That's all they could have done.